What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Got a fun one for you today. It is just me. We're in the glass garage, and we are going to look at the new build that I'll be running for most of this summer. This is a really lightweight, really sort of slim and trim kayak setup, but it's got all of the newest electronics and the newest motor setup that you can get in a kayak as it stands today, which is like, you know, summer of 2024. Now, I did do all my homework, and I've got all of my notes ready to walk you guys through not only every single cost component, so if you wanted to buy this kayak yourself, what it would cost you, I've also got the weight for everything, so we can show you sort of that weight to power ratio, and that's what really makes this kayak setup unique. A lot of us out there are guys who have one truck, no trailer, and we go pond hopping, but sometimes we're on big lakes and small lakes. So if you're looking for a setup that can be light, be manageable, but also have the latest and greatest, this kayak build is for you. Now, I do have my notebook out, so we're going to start with the stats. And before we do that, I just want to say thanks for checking out this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It does help us out a lot, and we do tons of stuff like this all the time. Gear reviews, unboxings, you name it, fishing videos, we got it all. All right, let's go through the NK180 Pro. So first we'll hit the specs, and I'll show you the install and the setup, and I'll show you how it works. It is freaking slick. But there's some details we got to get through first. First of all, what's the difference between the NK180 and the NK180 Pro? The Pro has a 25% increased range. It is 25% quieter. It has 16% more acceleration, and it is a brushless motor. The other one did have the brush in there. Now, the brushless motors, if you're familiar with like drills and things like that, we're talking about things like, it ultimately comes down to it's going to be a little bit longer lasting, a little higher quality, a little more reliable for you. Now, the motor itself comes in at $1,000, which I think is like, yes, on a little bit on the high side, but for what you're getting, absolutely value, and certainly not the highest price motor out there. And now they do have a higher end model. We don't have that one yet. Newport, I'd really like to get one of those. So if you're watching this video, can you send me one of the big ones? But this is the 180 Pro, which we're really excited to show you guys. So I'm going to go through some of the specs. It's a 1.8 mile per hour, basically a 65 pound thrust motor. It has got a 25 amp draw on a 24 volt battery. It is 14.3 pounds for the motor. Now that includes like the hardware and everything too, and I'll show you that in a second, but that's pretty light. But then the battery, you know, it's a big battery, 22 pounds. So the total for the battery and the mounting hardware and the motor is 36.3 pounds. We'll get to that in a second. I know I said lightweight, and that doesn't sound lightweight. You just wait. It does have 3 trim angles. It does have the display on it too, so that the weight does include that. That's the digital battery. It shows you the percentage remaining, as well as your voltage display, and then your speed and some of that other stuff. Now let's talk about the battery, because I do have the Newport battery, and it is a nice battery. We're talking premium battery, $800. Ouch, but hold on, not actually ouch, still a value. This is a, oh my gosh, it's a lithium ion battery, an LiFePO4. What does that really mean? The lithium ion batteries, they're a little bit smaller, they're a lot more efficient, and they have a much longer shelf life. So we're talking about like a 10-year operating span is what Newport claims, but that's significantly longer than like full usage on some of these, you know, non-lithium ion batteries. It does have Bluetooth, and there's an app for it. This is what the app looks like. Cut that in right here, which is pretty slick if you need it, but you do have the display, so you got a little bit of both, which is kind of cool. And it does come with the charger. Chargers are expensive, $100 to $200, you know, ish, depending on like the quality, the cord length, and you know, all that other stuff. But it comes with a really nice charger, which is great. And the operating temperature, which is really important to me, and if you're a hunter and you use one of these for like duck hunting and stuff, this is super important. -4 all the way up to 140 degrees. That's one of the best operating percentage, like temperature ranges that I've seen. A lot of them go up to 120. I know that between 120 and 140 is not massive, but that could mean the difference between operating really, really well at 100 degrees if you're down in Texas, and maybe not working so well at that temperature range. So I do like that. And then -4 again, if you're a duck hunter and you're out in the, you know, sub-zero, at least you know this thing's gonna work. And now let's talk about run time. This is their quoted run time, again, just based on the battery draw. So at 5%, so on the lowest end of how much draw you're using the motor on, 5% of the total speed of the motor, 50 hours. 20%, which is, you know, still on the low end, you get 12 hours. 50%, which is sort of, yeah, probably if you're just moving around like a little spot, you need to like back up here and there, 4.8 hours, and then 100%, so full speed, full out, using it full time, 2.4 hours. Now, that doesn't sound like like very much, I wouldn't equate that to like a full fishing trip. So I wouldn't think, oh man, I can only use, you know, 2.4, I can only go out for like 2.5 hours for a fishing trip. That's not what that means. That's like how long you're running the motor. So on 8 hours, if you're using the motor for like 20% of the time or 50% of the time, yeah, you're probably gonna run out eventually if you're absolutely hammering it on the motor. Now I've got a paddle setup here, not a pedal setup, which is how I'm getting that low weight. So my plan to use this is to get to my spot and then paddle around and maybe use it here and there just to kind of scoot around. But for the most part, I plan on actually paddling when I get to where I'm actually planning on fishing. And then if you've got a pedal setup, you obviously could do the same thing. You could pedal around once you get to your spot, but this is going to greatly extend your range and then just make you so much more efficient on the water, getting in and out of your spots. And maybe exploring numerous other spots as well. All right, so now that I walked through some of the and then the battery's the battery is an $800 and at $1,000 for motor, you're at $1,800 for the setup that I've got right here. So let me show it to you. I'm gonna take you guys off the stand here for a second and you're coming with me. So here is your Newport motor. You got a really high quality aluminum frame here that this thing rests on. It's got the 4-bolt pattern, which is really nice. A lot of kayaks you're gonna have to, or potentially buy some sort of metal plate. This one I got from Crescent. It is very, very nice. Highly recommend it. There's a lot of companies that make other ones. This one is metal. Which is really, I mean, it instills a lot of confidence, and I get to keep my handles, which is pretty slick. This is your steering tree. I'll show you the steering that I did. There are a lot of different options, but I'll show you the one that I did because I opted for foot steering with this kayak. So here's your assembly, and then you've got the actual motor right here. So just for frame of reference, you know, it's not that big, right? The dimensions are on the website, but it's pretty small. I think it's like roughly 8 inches long and 4 or 5 inches high. Plus you got your little fin right there, and then a very, very well-built total setup. You got a couple of different cables running off of here. One of them is actually you just pull it and it pulls the motor all the way up. And then I'm going to install, I actually bought these cleats. I haven't put them in yet, but I've got some cleats right here, zoom out. I got some cleats right here. I am not sure where I'm gonna put them yet. And you do have to cut these cables to length. They come with these nice handles, check that out. But I gotta cut these to length. And then basically I'm gonna put a cleat here, maybe here, I'm not sure yet, to lock this in place. For now, all I did was, if you pull it all the way up, I just tied this little loop right here, and then I loop it around that little knob right there, and then it actually locks the motor in place. The other thing I haven't done is I haven't run these wires. So I'm gonna get some eyelets. I'm gonna run the wires all the way up here so that they're just nice, clean, and they don't get away with any of this stuff. I don't want anything in the way of this stuff. And then you've got another pull tab here too. So you got 2 pulls, one to pull it up and one for the reverse. Now you might be wondering, hey, what the heck are these? This is that steering tree, and these are the steering cables. They actually go inside the kayak. A lot of new kayaks have this feature, which is pretty cool. It allows this like coated cable to run all the way through the kayak, and then there's a pre-tapped hole that actually pops up right here. And I'll show it to you on this side, it's a little bit cleaner, but now that attaches to your pedal. So when I push this forward, which is obviously not that hard, I'm doing it with my hand, push that forward, and look, now the motor is facing this direction. And then when I push this one this way, it is now facing the other direction. So you got foot steering in here, hands-free. That is freaking cool. That works for obviously forward and reverse. This setup was really cheap. I just, $40 off Amazon, and I was able to get just the plastic setup here, and I just replaced the existing one, cut this piece to length, and it was actually pretty simple. Pretty slick too. Now let's go ahead and look at the controller unit. So this is the controller unit for the NK180. Let's get our little clip out here. So now I am on. So there's sort of like forward and then reverse. So if I turn this on, and you can see this digital display is really nice. I actually still have that plastic on it. You can see that digital display, really slick, just showing you your battery, like the type of battery you got on there, and then your percent remaining wattage and all that, which is really nice so you know exactly what you got left. But if I go ahead and push this up, you can hear the motor is running. That's it. How slick is that? I don't want to get chopped up here, but I do want to show you what it looks like when it's running. Super smooth. Again, a lot quieter than the previous model, which I think is a benefit for any fisherman, especially kayak fishermen. You're talking close quarters. So then you're off, it's stopped, and then I'm going to go ahead and push this down, and that's reverse. So now it's spinning the other direction. And then you got obviously your foot steering. And it really is as simple as that. Let's try that again. just pushing it with my hand. How cool. Turn her off, kill switch. I do have a cord in there, I just haven't used it yet. And then you turn that guy off, boom, you're done. How slick. I freaking love that. Quiet. I mean, there's a lot going on here, but relatively a pretty, quiet, smooth setup. Now let's talk about the install, right? Because you got a cable that goes through here, and I actually hid it behind this pouch. I'll go to the other side and show you. So you need to run a cable all the way up from the controller unit. It's this small one right here. It needs to go from the controller unit all the way to the back where the motor is. This was actually one of the coolest things. Yeah, let's get this off so you can see. Check that out. I've got the cable for the Garmin for the live scope, and then I've got this one here. This is the Kayak through hull. This is their XL size. I needed that for this XL cable. These through hull kits from Kayak are incredible. I've got them all over the boat. I use them on all my installs. The easiest way to do this by far. So I'm just gonna pop that back on there. So that cable runs through here, all the way through the side of the hull, and then it pops out. There it is, right there. Pops out right there, comes through here, plug in, super easy. And then to the battery, you get this connector unit, this nice, like really well protected cable. And I just have it simply running along the bottom of the kayak, coiled up here, hooked up to the battery. Now there's your Newport battery. I'm gonna try and zoom out and show you, like, it's not really that big, but it's not small. But for the battery of this size, for that voltage, it's appropriately small. It's pretty nice. Having it close by, and then what I like about Crescent kayaks is they do have some really cool built-in cam straps. This is the one that came with it. So I've got it attached down. It's not gonna fall out of the kayak. I really like that setup. You could put it back here. I'm still fiddling around with it. I'm not sure about this setup yet, but this is what I've got it for today, just because I like a little room back here to reach behind the seat and get back into my crate. Another Kayak product that I really like. This is the Blackpack Pro, the medium size, so it's a little longer and a little slimmer. Fits really nice on a lot of different kayaks, including my Old Town, which is my pond hopping setup. I need to do a walkthrough on this one. Maybe I'll do that later, but I love that for pond hopping. This is that big water, high speed, full setup. All right, let's get you guys back on the mount here. So that's the setup of the NK180 Pro. As far as installs goes, I did it in about 2 hours, and that was like starting at 11 p.m. after I worked all day and did a podcast, came out here, I knocked it out really quick. Look, I barely read the directions and I still got it done. I'm not saying you should do that. You need to read every single word of those directions, read all the warnings and everything that comes with it, but I'm telling you, it was a pretty easy install, probably easier than you think. You're basically just doing some minor assembly on the motor, bolting it down to your kayak. You got to do a little bit of wiring. That's about it. Ooh, I should show you a cheat code that I found. Hold on. One thing that I don't like about this motor setup is this right here, and that is, hold up, and that is this right here. So actually mounting this, you kind of get pigeonholed into mounting it flush. There's like, I'll show you what the hardware looks like. See these 2 screws right there. Those are the only holes that you have for mounting, and that kind of limits you. I would have liked it a little bit flush flat, but darn it, there really wasn't a good spot for it, and I wanted something movable because I wasn't really sure where I wanted it. So I bought this from Kayak. There's usually a longer arm right here, and you can see this whole flat panel is kind of big. There are 2 screw holes that are perfectly aligned for this. I just took out the longer arm, and look how low profile that is. If I want to move this, I can just undo this, pop this out, move that wherever I want it, and then bam, it's that. It is really slick. You can change the angle, mess around with it, gets it a little close to you right here. I really like this. I'm not sure if these are gonna switch or not yet, but I really like the way that this is set up. All right, now let's do a walkthrough real quick on how I did the electronic setup and everything that's kind of in the boat, and then we'll talk about cost and weight. We're going on another field trip. Come on. All right, so I am a big net guy, but I don't like a large net these days, so I've been sticking with this lightweight, cheap one. It usually just sits right up there, and if it falls off, it's floatable, nobody cares. So that's the first thing. One thing I gotta do is I'm using this new console. This is made by Ketch. Ketch. It's made of cast aluminum. It is pretty darn light. It's extremely heavy duty. So these risers, the crossbar, and these like little spacers and these like crank downs are all from Ketch. The hardware is from Kayak. Now what I like about this is I can get the center mount screen. You can do 2 screens really easily. Look at how sturdy that is. But this thing is so sturdy, it is honestly so much more sturdy than that Yak Attack piece. Look, that's not their fault. It's not meant for screens this big. This is a 10-inch screen, and it's a heavy boy because it's got a lot of equipment still inside of it. That said, you can mount other stuff too. So I have a phone mount I'm gonna try. Maybe get some more shorts for you guys. So like facing right there, which I think would be pretty nice, but you can do whatever you want with this, right? Rod rests, you figure out what's good for you. One thing I gotta do though, I gotta move this up about 2 inches because these cords get in the way of this hatch just enough to where it's really bothering me. So with 2 hands, I can open this pretty easily. It's kind of hard with the in my way. All right, cool. So we're open here. This is what our hatch looks like. Now this is where the electronics all live. I still have space. This is like my big swim baits bag. And I have my kit right here. This is just my emergency kit, batteries, extra strength Tylenol type stuff, Excedrin in this case, tools, and then some extra parts just in case things go awry, because they will. So there's the Garmin unit. I actually use double-sided Velcro. I'll see if I can get a little closer in here for you. I actually use double-sided Velcro to mount this to the side of the kayak. It seems to be an incredibly simple and cheap setup, and really easy. So if you wanted to move it, you just pull it off, put some Velcro strips somewhere else and slap it wherever you need it, which is kind of dope. And I did the same thing for the Dakota lithium that's inside here too. I got some water in there, so I'll have to figure out where that is coming from. But this is basically just held in place by some stuck-in foam. And then you've got all your cables, and then there's a Yak power kit, which actually is really nice. So this is the Yak power kit. See if we get the light. There's the adjustment. You turn this on and then you can control up to 3 channels, turning them on and off, which makes running the Garmin unit so simple. Love the way that looks, and then when I want to add other stuff, other electronics, I can hook them all into those channels right there. And that's again Velcro to the side. So all that's about as far back as you can get out of the way. This bottle, if you know, you know. I always have an empty one in there just in case. But yeah, that's inside the console, and that is where all the electronics reside. Pretty simple, especially because if you don't have a drop-in bin, that's really what this thing is going to be used for. I do have the Guardian lights on here. These things are so cool. All right, guys, obviously this is a different day, but there's something on this kayak that I didn't get a chance to show you that I really want to show you. So part of the requirements to have a boat with a motor is you have to have a couple of things. One, you've got to have your registration on the front of the kayak on both sides. So that includes your, like the number that's associated with your registration and your actual sticker of registration. I have not put that on yet, but it's gonna go right here before the maiden voyage. Also, another thing that you have to have on a boat, if you're gonna operate a motor, is safety lights, like running lights, the same as a boat would have. So you've got your one on the bow here that's gonna have the red and green. That's gonna allow you to understand if someone sees you on the water at night, which direction you're heading, even if you're not, even if you just need to see which direction you're facing. That's number one. And then number two, on these shorter boats, on kayaks, you just need to have a white light in back. Now what we are using this season, something that we found, because I actually have 2 kayaks and they actually both are gonna have a motor on them. I'm gonna have the Bixby on the smaller kayak, and then obviously on the bigger kayak, I've got the NK180. So I wanted something that was gonna work for both without having to hook up a battery to this one. We found the perfect solution, and that is the kayak kit from Guardian Angel Devices. So this is what the device looks like. So you get this remote. Now they have a couple different models. You don't need to get them with the remote. This one is more expensive. This one was sent to us, but here's why it's so cool. So the back of everything has these like really powerful magnets. You can see that back here, and check this out. So there's like separate pieces and they magnet together. So like I wanted to magnet that to the outside of my PFD or a shirt. Then I can just like connect it and disconnect it, as long as I don't drop everything. Get over here. So you can magnet it to yourself to your heart's content. So I'll show you here what that looks like. Give me a sec. Phone, stay. So you take the magnet, like let's say, I think I have a pocket here. Let's say I wanted to keep it in my pocket or on my PFD. I just put the magnet on the other side of whatever it is, and boom, just like that. I got like access to it. Or you can put it on the inside of your kayak. So I have this really convenient spot right here, but they also make mounts and stuff. So they have all different kinds of mounts. They have them where you can screw in. They have them, like these are the flat ones. So they're really low profile. These ones glue on. That's how I'm mounting the lights, which I'll show you in a second. But you can basically mount these however you want. They have so many options. It's kind of legit. So yeah, you can use the magnet or not. Do whatever you want. I'm going to keep mine inside these handy dandy pockets right here. And then I'll probably put a magnet in there too, because I'll show you what that looks like right now. Drop the magnet inside. And then now this can magnet to the outside and it's not going anywhere. Kind of slick. So I have one of these glued on the front, so there's one light, and then I have another one glued here on the back. And now this one I put on my crate. I put it on my crate because that crate actually does double duty. It works on both. So whenever I go fishing, I'm gonna have that on here. It's also a little bit elevated, and then it's on the back of my kayak, which I kind of like. Now with kayaks, you don't have to have the red and the green on the front and the back. You just need to have the white on the back and the red and green on the front. But this is why the battery is so legit. So you just press this button in the middle and boom, you're lit up. And then over here, you're lit up. And then they have like a safety version. So you can be like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Please send help, which obviously is really good. And then boom, on, off, on, emergency. Now there's a bunch of different modes. There are safety lights on here, so you can control those with these. You don't have to get the remote. You can just buy these individually, which is kind of slick. But the remote's really nice, especially for a longer boat. Now the real killer is these extra mounts are like 15 bucks. So let's say you buy the one kit, which is we got the one kit. That's enough to do one kayak. Wonderful. But let's say I want to go and I want to, have the same light system for any kayak that I bring. You can just buy one of these, whatever one's right for your other kayak, slap one of these on the front of your other kayak, and then now, you can just pick these up, unclip the little safety light from right here, and then now you can drag this to your other kayak and slap it wherever you want. Pretty legit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kayaks, whatever it is that you have a need for, you're all set. But I love it. I think the modularity of it's great. They are more expensive. I will tell you right now, while they are expensive, the quality is insane. Like, it's hard to describe it, but like, these are Coast Guard rated. They're completely waterproof. They're rechargeable. It's kind of a perfect solution. I really do like it. Now you could hardwire something if you wanted to. Obviously that's great. But if you're interested in having something that's modular, that doesn't require a lot of or any drilling whatsoever, and can be moved from thing to thing to thing, and you can use for like biking and running and a bunch of other stuff, it's a seriously good option. Anyways, back to the regular video. Sorry for being in this weird shirt. I had other stuff to do today, but I wanted to add this in for this video. All right, so as we work our way back, we do have, I gotta take it to the other side to show you this mount for the lives. So this arm right here is actually made by Navarre Fishing. It's so simple, like most of his stuff is. I did another video on Navarre. They make stuff for Old Town, but in this case, I'm stealing it. So I've got the arm kicked out to the side here, and you basically just have this 1-inch ram ball. Then he's got this piece right here with a set screw to set the tension, but this allows you to turn this left and right as needed. It's really low profile and light, and then when you want to pull it up, all you got to do is loosen this up a little bit and you can pull this out. Now it's not perfect. I still have some things I got to do to make this work. This arm needs to come out a little bit because this is a bit at an angle, but overall for now I want to test it as is, see how it works. I'll make some adjustments later, but gosh, that is so just slim and trim. That's my jam. I love that. Super lightweight. Then with the seat, I'm always gonna have some stuff underneath the seat, which is why I gotta figure out how these wires are gonna run. Then you probably need to come through the outside. Haven't figured it out yet. I'll get there eventually. But I can always keep some stuff under the seat, and then I always have inside this crate kind of the same setup. One huge bag of plastics, and then 2, maybe 3 of these Busbies, or in this case, I'm testing the Cast King still. And then you've got your terminal tackle. I keep 2 of those on me at all times. And then I got enough space for 4 rods. So I got 2 here, 2 here, and then I'm probably gonna put a forward-facing rod holder on this side for 1 more when I'm just messing around in the yak. The Lead Tackle 2 does not come with these foot pads. I installed these. They're kind of expensive, but gosh, they fit perfectly and they look frickin' slick. Now, one thing I wanna show you with this kayak, this is almost a 13-foot kayak. It does not have pedals, so I'll be running the paddle, but what I want to call out with this is the hull shape. So now that I've got it up here, you'll notice you got this bulbous front part right here. It's actually pretty big. That's basically for handling a little bit rougher water and then keeping your nose up elevated a little bit, making sure that even in tough conditions, you are right-sized. But you've also got more of a V shape, not a flat shape. So this is not necessarily a stand-up full-time kayak. Yes, you can stand, but there's that sort of secondary stability, and that's what this is. So you've got, this is your under the water, and then this is your secondary stability, and this is where most of your standard stability is gonna be. But with this V shape, hang on, let me get you guys back up here. There we go. But with that V shape, what you're actually getting is a lot more ability to handle a little bit rougher water, And then speed. Your efficiency in the water is a lot. You're just so much more efficient in the water. So that 65-pound thrust, achieving that 6 miles per hour, I think is actually going to be pretty easy. And also, because the boat's so light, we'll get to that in a second, that also helps you out when it comes to efficiency. So that's the basis for this whole setup. So the concept of this kayak build is I wanted all the accessories, like sort of all the newest electronics and the newest motor and that sort of thing, on a platform that was really lightweight and is going to make the most out of that NK180 motor, the slightly smaller size motor, make the most out of it and be really, really efficient and also relatively inexpensive. So with this one right here, it all starts with the Crescent. So the Light Tackle 2, as it's named, Light Tackle, 79 pounds. That is so light. Now, how are you achieving that weight? One, it's molded in accessories. There's not a lot of added accessories. It's also a paddle kayak, not a pedal kayak. So that's about a 25, 30 pound difference between like this Old Town PDL 106, which again, I love, but is a little bit heavier just because you do have the 26 to 30 pound pedal drive inside of it. So that is the Light Tackle 2. So with the Garmin unit, I've got, let's talk about the weight. So I've got the Dakota lithium in there. That is 15 pounds. And then for the Garmin head unit, it's about 9 pounds with the live scope transducer. So you're looking at 26 pounds total for the electronics install, plus or minus some of, whatever the mounting accessories are. And let's talk about the Newport. We already talked about that. 37 pounds, 22 pounds for the battery, just a little over 14 pounds for the motor and the controller unit. And then I think I just have like general accessories. I think we're just going to call that 30 pounds for general accessories. So that's the Yak Attack box. That's like not including the tackle, but that would be like the paddle and then all the other like mounting hardware and the net and things like that. We'll call it 30 pounds, probably a little on the heavy side, but we'll err on the side of heavier. So if you add in the 26 pounds for the Garmin setup, the 37 pounds for the Newport and the battery, and 30 pounds for accessories, and 75 pounds for the kayak, not 80, 75 pounds for the kayak, you're at a total of 168 pounds. I'll tell you right now, that is so light. That's lighter than some standard models that come with, not including your vest, paddle, or anything else. That's just like their hull weight plus a pedal drive. It's insanely light. So being able to get all this with all these accessories under, we'll call it around 150 pounds, honestly. Even with tackle, 166 pounds, 168 pounds, that is wild. So I think I've accomplished what I was trying to accomplish from fast, efficient, and simple, but also still having all the stuff you want. Let's talk about cost. This is where it's going to hurt. So the kayak itself is where you're saving a whole bunch of money. $1,200 for the kayak. That's insane. Crescent still is making some of the most value-conscious boats out there. I absolutely love it. I also think the Old Town, the PDL 106 and the 120 are two of the best pedal kayak values on the market. I hate to say bar none because there's some better stuff out there or some good stuff out there, but they really are. When it comes to value, it's just so good. The Echo Map 10-inch is $2,300. That you're gonna shake that one off, and that includes and then it's $2,000 for the live scope setup, plus the Dakota battery. That's $500. So that's basically $4,800 just for all the electronics that are in this boat. Then you get the Newport. Again, we talked about $1,000 for the motor, $800 for the battery, and then I put in some miscellaneous stuff. So the crate is about $150. The Anchor Wizard, which I have right here, is $100 depending on where you buy it and what you need to come with it. The paddle is $150. The vest is $150, and then for just miscellaneous accessories, so like cleats, clips, like line stuff, the Yak Attack through hull kits and all that kind of stuff. We're talking, and the catch riser, I put in $300. So that takes your total to $8,650. And we're in Michigan, so there's sales tax. I'm trying to be as legit as possible. This is MSRP pricing. $8,650 plus a 6% sales tax on everything would get you to $9,170 to take all this home, install it, and do it yourself today. That is not cheap. That's super expensive. But again, you're talking about probably two of the biggest upgrades that are available today at the highest end possible when you talk about the Garmin Panoptix with the 10-inch Ultra HD and the Newport motor with the Newport battery that's got the Bluetooth capability and all that kind of stuff. You're talking about the best kayak crate, arguably, but also one of the more expensive ones, and that is your whole setup right there. So the question I have for you guys is, does this setup make sense to you? Do you get excited about this? I personally am so excited to get this on the water. I'm not giving any reviews on anything. I'm just giving my initial impressions and reactions, and I wanted to walk you through my concept and what the setup actually could be. I think this is probably one of the lightest setups out there. I cannot wait to race Jeff, who's got the Titan X, the new one, the longer one, the 12-footer, which is heavy, but also a lot bigger, more flat, stable platform. And then he's got the motor guide on the front, the XI3, the bow mount. Really excited to try and get in a race with him and see how that goes. And then we'll also put that up against I have the Bixby, the new motor from Bixby on there, on this Old Town 106. So we're going to compare all three of those, check and see if pedaling plus the Bixby is as fast or could be as fast as the Crescent at 12 feet with the NK180 Pro. We've got a lot more videos coming on, just doing full reviews on everything. So follow along with us as we get through this. Rate my setup in the comments below. Tell me how you think I did. How would you have changed it? And do you think it's worth the money? They're like $9 grand for this whole setup. Is it worth it? Would you take something off? Would you swap something out? Let me know what you guys think, and let me know what other kayaks you guys want to see us test. Maybe a new Canoe Unlimited. Maybe you want to see a different kind of build out for the PDL 106. Maybe even something on the Titan X. You let us know what you're interested in seeing. We're going to do our best to do the install, get it checked out, and give you our full and honest review. Thank y'all for checking out this video. You nerds are the best. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and stay tuned for the next one when we get this out on the water. Bam. Bye.